In this video, I will be ranking the potential of the top 20 classic physique bodybuilders who are qualified for the 2025 Mr. Olympia. By top 20, I mean the 20 bodybuilders who I think have the most potential to fill out the top 20 spots, or in the Olympia's case, the top 16, as count stop after that. Let me know if I missed any competitors, but I did base my choice off their physique, achievements, dominance, and a bit of hype. To be honest though, ranking all 60 plus competitors would have been extremely hard to say the least, and take way too long. For the tiers, S plus is for the absolute favorites, the guys who could realistically win the 2025 Olympia and dominate the division. S tier is for top contenders who might not be the favorite on paper, but still have what it takes to push for the title. A tier includes strong competitors who can make that top 10, but probably lack that polish to really win it all. B tier is for solid Olympians who can hold their own on stage but are more likely to land in the middle of the pack or outside of that top 10. And finally, C tier is where I'd place the athletes who are still good enough to qualify, but unlikely to make much of an impact at the Olympia this year. Before we get into the actual breakdown though, I want to quickly mention two big names who are not competing this year, but still do deserve a mention. Chris Bumstead, the 6-time Mr. Olympia, is retired now, but if he still were competing this year, he would definitely be an easy S plus tier competitor, and probably be the favorite to win again. While it would be his most challenging competition ever, I think he still is the division standard. Then there's Urs Kalasinski, who's moved up to the open division. He was a consistent top 3 in Classic, and likely would have been top 5 again, but the weight cut was too much to maintain. If he had stayed in Classic though, he would easily be in that S or S plus tier range, depending on how he showed up. Both competitors will not be on the Classic Olympia stage this year, which is kind of unfortunate, and their absence does really change the 2025 Olympia lineup. Alright, first up is Jose Manuel. He won the 2024 Nutra Yummy Pro to qualify for the 2025 Olympia, and shocked everyone last year at the 2024 Olympia with a top 6 Olympia finish in his debut. His strengths are his density and condition. In the mandatories, he looks very dominant thanks to his wide frame, taller structure, and sheer muscle mass. His back and hamstrings stand out as some of the best in the division, and he usually outconditions nearly everyone on stage. The weaknesses are there though. His midsection is wide, his quads are flat and a little bit disproportional, and his triceps are behind the rest of his physique. Even with those flaws though, he has mastered his posing and knows how to work around these issues. That said, with so many new well-proportioned competitors rising up, I think he either holds his spot or drops a placing or two down. Still, he's strong enough to sit in the S tier for me, and at this point, Jose has proven he belongs in the mix with the very best of the sport, and he could move up if others do come in off. Next up is Branch Chen. He qualified for the Mr. Olympia by winning both the 2025 Toronto Pro and the China Pro, and honestly, he looked better at those shows than he ever has before. While he has placed poorly at the Olympia in recent times, it is worth remembering that back in 2019, he finished as high as 5th place. In my opinion, Branch has some of the best shape and proportion in the division, especially from the front. His quads are massive and round, his muscles are full, and his overall look in the front poses is overall hard to beat. On the other hand though, his side chest is a weaker pose, and his back double, while solid, is not really elite compared to the top guys. Still, his structure and flow give him one of the most pleasing physiques in the entire division. For me though, he is definitely in that B tier. He's a great bodybuilder with amazing shape, but not quite at that level to push for the very top anymore. Even so, he's always a competitor worth watching, and one I personally enjoy seeing on stage every time. Moving on, we've got Michael Dool. He punched his ticket to the Olympia by winning the 2025 Dubai Pro, and he's been a reliable top 10 guy for many years. What makes him stand out is the sharp condition, since he's almost always shredded to the bone. Add into that his rather good development, solid mass, and decent enough aesthetics, and you get a very complete and, more importantly, competitive bodybuilder. The main knock on Dool, though, is that his shape is not the most impressive. He's a little bit blockier than some of the competitors ahead of him, but the density and thickness he brings often makes up for it. That said, he does consistently outcondition his rivals, and I think a lot of people underestimate just how good he really is. Last year, he took 7th place, and now that there are 2 spots open thanks to Chris Bumstead and Urs not being there, he definitely has a real chance to hold that exact spot again. I would definitely say that he's A tier for me. He's not quite a title threat, but he is one of the most consistent, dependable, and reliable top 10 athletes you are going to see at the Classic Physique Olympia. Next on the list is Hune Park. He qualified by winning the 2024 Monster Gym Pro, and he's been consistent at the Olympia, usually finishing within the top 16. His strengths are definitely clear. He comes in with very sharp condition, his quads are massive with a ton of detail and fullness, and his upper body is developed enough. Overall, I would say that he's a very complete competitor. The downside is that his aesthetics do not really stand out. His frame is on the narrow side, and his flow is not as eye-catching as some of the more genetically gifted competitors. He does bring energy and confidence to his posing, but when you stack him up against guys with bigger frames, more mass, or more dramatic lines, he does not measure up in the same way. That's why I've got him in B tier. He's a solid Olympia competitor who deserves to be there for sure, but he's more of a middle-of-the-pack competitor than a real threat to the top Olympia spots. Also, if you guys are enjoying the video so far, a like and sub would really be awesome, as it helps out the channel tremendously. Now we've got Justin Berina. He won the 2024 Hurricane Pro and made his Olympia debut in 2024 as well, where he placed 14th. Physique-wise, he checks almost every box. He's got a super wide frame with a small waist, massive legs, solid arms, and really clean flow from the front. From the side, he looks dense and complete, and his conditioning is consistently good. The main knock on Justin has always been his back, but even that looks like it's improving based on his recent guest posings. When you look at him from head to toe, there really isn't a glaring weakness, and that makes him dangerous in the mandatories. For me, that puts him in S tier. He's one of the most underrated guys in the division right now, and I think he is a real dark horse who could shock a lot of people at this year's Mr. Olympia. Next is Matteas Medagachi, one of the Brazilian favorites. He won the 2025 Texas Pro after a rather lackluster appearance at Tampa, and a lot of people called him the Brazilian Sebum because of how similar his physique looks to Chris Bumstead. You know, that small waist, solid X frame, balanced quads, and great overall flow. That said, he does have some rather glaring flaws. His back could still be a lot better, his chest is still a massive weakness, and his clavicles are narrow, which becomes more noticeable the longer you look. Even though his back has improved this year, his conditioning at both Tampa and even Texas was not nearly as sharp as we saw at the 2024 Olympia. Without that dialed-in condition, he will not place well. Still, he finished 9th at his first Mr. Olympia, and with the muscle gains he's made this season, he should be able to crack the top 10 again if he nails his condition. For that, I've got him in A tier. He's one of the most promising young talents, and definitely a Brazilian fan favorite. Next, we have Nile Darwin, who qualified by winning the 2025 Tampa Pro. His aesthetics are easily some of the best in the division right now, and I do not say that lightly, although I do say that for a lot of competitors. I truly mean it with Nile. You know, he has a very, very impressive X-frame, one of the best I've ever seen in all of bodybuilding. He's also got massive arms and legs, a super small waist, and even though his clavicles are not the widest, the taper is so extreme that it balances out perfectly. His muscle insertions are also amazing, and he really does not have a serious flaw, apart from maybe being slightly narrow structurally, which isn't even a real issue if you look at him. At the 2024 Olympia, he placed 11th at his debut, but the improvements he showed in Tampa this year were massive. With that kind of progress, I see him as a true dark horse who could break into that first or second call-out at the Olympia, and maybe very slightly even win. In my opinion, he's definitely an S tier. He's got the genetics to even push for the title, though I will hold back from overhyping him as much as I am until he proves it on the Olympia stage. Either way, he is one to watch very closely this year. Up next is Mike Somerfeld. By placing second at the 2024 Olympia, he was already qualified for this year, but he went ahead and won the 2025 Arnold Classic anyway, and he did it very dominantly. At the Olympia, the gap between him and third place was obvious, and he pushed Chris Bumstead harder than anyone ever has, and then his Arnold win just cemented him as one of the top guys in the division right now. What stands out is that he brings some of the most pound-for-pound muscle in the entire classic physique division. He's dense, conditioned, and proportioned nearly perfectly despite what some say. His back is outstanding, his quads are powerful, and in the mandatories he can match or beat anyone. Despite some people saying that his look is not the most aesthetic or quote-unquote classic, when you see him pose with his structure and mass, and also elegance, he pulls it off perfectly and looks very complete. For me, he's an easy S+ tier. On paper, he's the favorite to win, and everything he's shown recently supports that in my opinion. Now we come to Terrence Ruffin, who's had a strong comeback this season with wins at both the 2025 Pittsburgh Pro and then the New York Pro. He's not a stranger to the big stage either. He's a former two-time Olympia runner-up and one of the most consistent top call-out guys in the division. In my opinion, Terrence's strengths are pretty easy to see. His proportions are nearly ideal, his balance is insane, and his posing is second to none. He does a great job in the mandatories and masters every single pose and makes them look effortless. The only real drawback is the smaller stature, which can leave him outsized when standing next to taller or denser competitors. But even with that, his refinement and overall look are so complete that it is very hard to deny him. In my opinion, he's firmly an S+ tier. The title is wide open, Ruffin is at his all-time best, and I think he's got a very real shot at taking the Mr. Olympia crown this year. He is the underdog favorite, and a lot of people would love to see him finally win. Next is Logan Franklin, who finally seems to have solved his biggest issue, which has been peaking. In 2025, he nailed it twice, bringing a full shredded look that earned him the win at the 2025 Florida Pro. He's always been known for his balance, shape, and proportion, and this year he showcased all of that with great condition. I think we can all agree that Logan's physique flows extremely well. Every pose is complete, and he has all the aesthetics in the world and a great structure on top of that really reeks of classic physique. That said, the real downside is overall mass. Compared to the more massive and muscular guys in the division, he does not really have the same level of muscle development, and in the top callouts, that difference can get exposed. Even so, I've got him in S tier. His look is too polished and too well-rounded to ignore, and if he keeps showing up the way he did this year, he will for sure be in the mix with the very best. Up next, we have Fabian Meyer, who is making his return to the Mr. Olympia for the first time since 2022, where he took 7th. He qualified this year by winning the 2025 Austrian Oak Pro after missing the weight cap in Portugal and being forced to compete in the open division. I'd say that his physique is very complete from head to toe though. In every mandatory pose he looks strong, and his tall, very filled out frame gives him a big structural advantage. He's got impressive arms and quads, balanced muscularity, and good overall flow. Now, he might not have the most eye-catching shape or the same genetic wow factor as some of the other top names, but his structural presence and overall physique more than make up for that. Altogether, I would definitely have him in A tier. He's the type of competitor who sneaks up on people because he doesn't have one flashy or standout body part, but everything else is put together so well that I think he's going to surprise a lot of people at his Olympia return. Now we have Livingston Lavinho, who, if I'm not mistaken, qualified by winning the 2025 Muscle Contest Brazil Pro. He's one of the freakiest genetic talents in the current lineup, with an incredible X-frame, wide clavicles, a tiny waist, and pretty good standout arms and quads. His quads in particular are some of the most impressive right now. That said, his back is still a major weak point, not the thickest or the widest, and from the side his density and refinement could be sharper. He is the type of competitor who can get carried by his genetics, especially at his first Mr. Olympia, but when you look past the front poses, the completeness is not there yet in my own opinion. For that reason, I've got him in B tier. He's got all of the genetic attributes to make a huge impact, but for now, I think he will be more of a promising newcomer rather than a serious threat. Moving on, we've got Diego Galindo, who earned his qualification by winning the 2025 Gomesa Pro. He did compete at the 2024 Mr. Olympia, but finished 16th or lower, though his physique this season has looked a lot better than there. His rear double biceps is one of the best in the division, with a freaky back that almost looks reminiscent of a Mike Somerfeld clone. Combine that with a super small waist, massive quads, wide clavicles, and a strong X frame, and he's got one of the more underrated and impressive looks in the division. Overall, he's still very complete with good proportion and balanced development, but the issue overall is size. In the side poses, he still looks a bit thin, not too bad, but it is still not really the thickest and most filled out side pose, and he could use a lot more development to match the guys ahead of him. That's why I've got him in B tier. I think he's going to finally place at this year's Mr. Olympia, just likely outside the top 10 in my own opinion, but he's definitely trending in the right direction overall career-wise, and I would love to see him place even higher. Next is Pota Votovich. He qualified by winning the 2025 Europa Pro, and this will be his Olympia debut. His physique jumps out right away with insane proportion, crazy density, and a really good X-frame. That said, the downside would be his back development. His lats are not impressively wide, and his lower back is very weak, and against the very top guys that could get exposed. At the Europa Pro, his conditioning and peak were spot on, so there's no question he knows how to nail his prep, but structurally that lack of back width does keep him from being a complete physique. For that reason, as well as this being his Mr. Olympia debut, I'm going to place him in B tier. With the muscle and proportion he does have, I can definitely see him placing near that top 10 at his very first Olympia, but the back development needs to come up before he can push any higher. Now we have Andrea Mamole, who earned his qualification by winning the 2024 IFBB Italy Coliseum Pro. This will be his Mr. Olympia debut, and he's got great shape with a clean X-frame, balanced proportions, and a very polished, refined look. His lines are really underrated in the division, but they aren't ultra freaky or incredibly stand out. The areas holding him back right now are the size and back development. He's not the widest competitors in the clavicle, and while his shape is excellent, he still looks a bit undersized, especially in his last showing. With more width and thickness in the back, he would definitely be a clear top 10 threat. For now though, I've got him in B tier. His structure and potential are obvious, but since this is his first Mr. Olympia, experience and of course politics come into play. Unless you're truly undeniable, debut athletes usually have to fight harder for those top spots. Still, his upside is massive, and he's one to keep an eye on this year. Up next, we've got Bion Aninsley stepping into his 10th Mr. Olympia. He was expected to make the jump to the 212 division, but instead he's back in Classic once again. Bion still brings that trademark sharp condition and one of the best upper bodies in the division, with amazing arms and a back that has carried him to the Olympia win. Unfortunately, the main downside is the leg development. I would definitely say the hamstrings and glutes are not bad, but the quads do not match the rest of his physique, and at 45 years old, it is tough to really add on to those quads. That imbalance is definitely what holds him back against some of the younger guys with more complete physiques. Still, he's a two-time Mr. Olympia champion and has been in that first call-out nearly every year of his career. That history and track record definitely matters, and I think it keeps him right in the mix. In my opinion, he's an A-tier competitor at least. He's not the top dog anymore for sure, but he's still dangerous, and experience alone makes him one of the toughest competitors to ever count out. Next up is Horse MD, making his classic physique Mr. Olympia debut after winning the 2025 Portugal Pro. It is his first season in the division after downsizing from the Open division, and he brings some very impressive features. Big arms with nice shape, a wide frame, excellent legs from every angle, and solid abs as well. But there are some clear issues as well. The waist is very, very wide, although he does pull off a decent vacuum. His back is also weak, and his overall shape is not the most pleasing compared to others in the lineup. Conditioning has also been hit or miss, especially in the Open division, and without being absolutely sharp, his flaws are going to get exposed very quickly. From behind especially, he still looks very incomplete and will be compromised tremendously. That's why I've got him in B tier, which is pretty generous. I could definitely see an argument for C as well. If he nails his prep, he might sneak into the top 10. I think that's pretty unlikely, but with the inconsistencies and the weaker shape, expectations for him are kind of low for this Olympia. Now we've got Alex Camberero, who, if I'm not mistaken, last competed at the Olympia back in 2022, where he took 9th place. This year he came back strong though, with wins at both the Tokyo Pro and, more importantly, at the Masters Mr. Olympia, earning a spot for 2025. Alex still has that classic shape and good genetics that once made him a regular top call-out guy. In my opinion, his upper back is still really impressive, but the lower back is noticeably lacking, and from behind, his lower body could also be a lot stronger. His shape frontally is still as pleasing as it was back in his prime, with a nice top-to-bottom balance and aesthetic flow, but nothing really super special, and you can see some signs of age. That said, with the way the division has evolved and is trending, his overall potential is not as high as it used to be, or as high compared to the newer, more complete competitors. In my opinion, and I hate to do this, I think he would land in C tier. He's proven and very experienced, but at this stage of his career and of the division, he's unlikely to contend with the top names in the division anymore. Second to last, we've got Matt Grego, who qualified by winning the 2025 Detroit Pro. His physique is one of the most balanced in the entire lineup, with every pose looking strong except for the rear double. His back is still shallow, but it has been improving steadily, and could be much closer to being balanced by the time he steps on the Olympia stage. Frontally though, he looks really incredible, small waist, flowing limbs, great proportion, and a structure that embodies the classic physique standard. From the side, he might not be the most dense, but he's refined and polished, which makes his physique stand out to me. Now, I would definitely say he's one of the most underrated top-tier classic physique competitors, but his track record show to show really proves that he's climbing up in placings and physique, and that reflects in a respectable 10th place finish from the 2024 Mr. Olympia. This year, I can definitely see him anywhere from 10th place to 7th, and that would put him in A tier. Matt is steadily on the rise and should not be overlooked, and you could even make a case for him being in S tier. Finally, we close out the list with Ramon Dino, the winner of the 2024 Mr. Olympia Brazil, and the fan favorite heading into this year's Olympia. Ramon's physique is about as close to perfect as it gets in this division. Amazing structure, flawless insertion, and shape that flows very naturally. He's got crazy mass and standout limbs, especially the arms, along with amazing condition when he is on. From head to toe, he's one of the most complete athletes in the division, and many consider him to be the most aesthetic as well. If there's anything to really nitpick at, I would say that his lats are not the widest, both from the front and back, but it's not really a true weakness. He also does not really look quite as dense as someone like Mike Somerfeld from the side and from behind, and this definitely showed in poses like the rear double and side chest, especially when he competed against guys like Chris Bumstead or Mike Somerfeld, but those are minor compared to really everything else he brings to the table. For me, he is definitely S+ tier without any question. Ramon has all the tools to win the Olympia this year, and with the title wide open, it might really be his best chance yet. Well guys, that about does it for this video. I hope you enjoyed, and I would love to hear your thoughts and opinions on the ranking and on your classic physique predictions down below. With that all being said, I will see you on the next one. Thanks for watching.